everyone. Welcome to survive.as.level YouTube channel, and this is the AS Chemistry 2024 October-November paper 13 multiple choice explanation.
Question 1. In this question, magnesium and calcium each form a compound with chlorine and a compound with bromine. One of these compounds contains the element in the group 2 with the higher first ionization energy and the element in the group 17 with the higher QQ bond energy. So for group 2, the first ionization energy of an element is the energy needed to remove one electron from each atom. So for group 2, ionization energy decreases down the group. Therefore, magnesium has higher first ionization energy than calcium. And for group 17, QQ bond energies also decrease down the group because of bond length of two halogen atoms. Therefore, fluorine has higher QQ bond energy than bromine. So the answer is magnesium fluoride and A. Question 2. In this question, we're gonna talk about the electronic configurations of those elements in the answer. There is carbon, fluoride, silicon, and sulfur and oxygen. So for carbon, its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, and 2p2, which means the p subshells orbitals are only 2 is occupied. For fluorine, its electronic configuration is this. Therefore, the p orbital subshells are 3 is occupied and 2 are fully occupied. For silicon, it has 2 electrons in its p subshell, so the orbital is only 2 is fully occupied. And for sulfur, it is four electrons in its p subshell. Therefore, 3 of the orbitals are fully occupied and 1 is fully occupied. And for oxygen, it has 4 electrons in its p subshell. Therefore, 3 electrons are occupied and 1 is fully occupied. So from this things we have done, element Y is in period 2 of the periodic table, and one atom of element Y, the p subshell, has all 3 orbitals occupied, and only one of these 3 orbitals is fully occupied. So that means it can be sulfur or oxygen. And for element C is in period 3 of periodic table, and in one atom of element C, the p subshell has only 2 orbitals occupied. So if we see from this, we can choose between carbon or silicon. And from the answers, there's silicon oxide that can be the answer of this question. So the answer is C. Question 3. For this question, we should consider the chemical equation for the reaction. Therefore, copper salt is first decomposed into sodium sulfate and water. And water is 1.91 grams and sodium sulfate is 1.51 grams. To calculate the moles of the products, we should find the molecular masses of sodium sulfate and water. For sodium sulfate, molecular mass is 142 gram moles, and water has molecular mass of 18 gram moles. Therefore, moles of sodium sulfate is 1.51 gram divided by 142 gram mole, and its moles is this, and moles of water is this. So to find the value of X, we should consider the ratio of moles of sodium sulfate and water. If we divide it by the least number of moles, the ratio would be 1:10. So the value of X would be 10, and the answer is C. Question 4. It asks what contains the greatest number of the named particles. So greatest number means Avogadro number, or in other words, it means the moles, number of moles. So for A, it is argon atoms at room conditions. To find the moles of this, we should divide the volume by room conditions 24. So the mole would be 6 divided by 24, resulting in 0.25 moles. And for B, it's carbon dioxide, which has a molecular mass of 44 gram moles. And to find the moles of this carbon dioxide, we should divide the 6 by 44. So the moles would be 0.136. For C, there is 6 grams of magnesium, which has molecular mass of 24, and the moles would be 0.25. For D, there is 6 grams of water, which is 18 grams of molecular mass, and the moles would be 0.33. So the greatest number is water of 6 grams. And the answer is C. Question 5. It asks what the interaction forms between phosphine molecule and hydrogen ion. So if we draw the atom, it would be like one electron is shared between phosphorus atom and hydrogen, and there is lone pair in phosphorus atom. So there is hydrogen atom with no electron. Therefore, there would be a hydrogen bond between these two molecules. Hydrogen bond is formed between lone pair of phosphorus atom and positive hydrogen ion. Therefore, the answer would be C.